Division of Public Education St. Martin's Day Youth Program. In the interest of time, I will not be long. I will simply say thank you for being here this morning. You are all looking beautiful, and give yourselves a round of applause for being here. Before I leave go, I have to give kudos to the committee of the Oranje School who have worked tirelessly for the last 2 months or more since the school started to get this program off the ground. They are even working in the midterm break. Minister is saying that they are, I don't know. They were even working in the midterm break trying to get this program off the road. At one point, we found out that the place was already engaged because there's a boxing event happening and the promoter reserves today and tomorrow. Then we heard from Mr. Bartley who got contacted him and asked him if we could use the place, and he said, sure. So we want to thank Mr. Bartley. I'm not seeing him this morning, and we want to thank him for allowing us to use this money to this program.
We're all excited, and as we once again come together for the food, I would like to thank everyone for being here. And as I sat there, I said there isn't much I can say except to once again congratulate the Oranje School for putting such a wonderful program together. So give them a big round of applause.
We're celebrating St. Martin's Day, a day in which we set aside to remember St. Martin and the achievements and accomplishments that have taken place throughout the years. I will put my speech aside and just leave 2 words with you. The word unity. This is a unity program, and it's very important if we're building a nation to be united. Not only united between the French side and the Dutch side, but united between the schools. And this is a wonderful opportunity that we have, that all the schools are together. We can see one another, we can congratulate one another, encourage each other, but also unity among yourselves in your classroom, unity with the teachers, because it is through unity that we're going to be able to move forward. It is through unity that we can build this wonderful country that we love so much, St. Martin. It is with unity that we're going to be able to overcome. You know the saying? It says, united we stand, but divided we fall. None of us want to fall, so let's unite together. The other word that I want to leave with you is build. Normally when we think of building, we think of structures, we think of schools, we think of houses, we think of roads. But it's also very important to build things that we can't feel. And we have some very important builders in our midst that I want to recognize. They have built our culture. They have built music. They have built theater. They have built drama. They have built painting and drawings and made St. Martin to be recognized worldwide because of the way they have built. I want to ask you to stand. Lasana, Philippa, Ruby, Union, and representative of Bobby Kong. Let's give them our builders of St. Martin a warm, strong round of applause. Building is not easy. These persons standing here, they have built what we call our intangible cultural heritage. And it wasn't easy. It took hard work, it took perseverance, and some of you I knew when you started. I remember when Ruby started to paint. And we look at our paintings and go, what is this? But look at our paintings now. And you know how you can perfect yourself? By persevering, practicing, doing it over and over again. That's what I would like to see all of you children doing. Building your skills. You can build relationships. You can build corporations. You are the builders. I want you to choose a career in which you can build St. Martin through whatever you do. Let's build St. Martin together. Turn to your neighbor and say, let's build together. Let's build St. Martin together. I honor you, builders of St. Martin, today. Continue building. Are leaving a tremendous legacy for all of us, and especially for those youngsters who are here and who can appreciate you and see you.
You can win with the Caribbean lottery. You can win, making a difference, changing lives. Take a chance, and you can win with the Caribbean lottery. You can win, you can win.
Tell them, connecting you.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
There's no doubt that the emissions from the dump are not healthy for the population, right? And certainly that the testing that was done, and I was there with the consultants, EENG, with the minister from VOMI, when they were setting up the project and when they were executing the study, and also received a very good explanation from them what to expect from the study, right? And without a doubt, when the fires are flared up, in other words, when there is an open fire and a lot of smoke from the dump, you know, that's a very different situation than what we're talking about on our regular day-to-day activities. Based on the report that was in the media, I did request a copy of the draft report, and I think there's some elements in this that I think are good to go over again. Remember that the main point of the study by EE&G was for the fire suppression activity, which is being funded in the first tranche of the World Bank grant. So there is a project that will be bid out to a contractor to come in to extinguish the fires which are burning underground. As part of that, they need to be able to put in their terms of reference what precautionary measures the contractors would need to take. So what they did is they measured the smoke directly in where the smoke emissions are from. And actually I have a picture, and I'll send this out as well. So here's a picture with the minister and I with the consultant, and you could see actually there was a small fissure in the ground, and they literally put their measuring equipment in the smoke to measure what was coming out of the ground, right? And so they measured from the vapor emissions, and also they measured in the heavy equipment. They put their testing equipment inside to get an idea of what the operators of the equipment could expect. As the Prime Minister touched on, the points were actually literally in the fissure a foot away from where the smoke emissions were coming. And 2 points I'd like to just touch on. So it mentions the results of the area upwind control samples. So in other words, they measured in the fissures, but they also did as a control, they put their testing equipment at some distance from the fissures. The results of the area upwind control samples showed significantly lower concentrations of the COCs, which are constituents of concern, tested for which compared to the area test samples. So in other words, what they're saying is they put their equipment away from the actual smoking fissure, and they found much less concentrations which you would expect, right? But those test results were their control. Their testing report is more what they found in the fissures themselves. And this is their disclaimer that's in the report, and I think it's highly relevant. These air quality test results and conclusion contained herein do not contain reference to or discussion of potential for off-site migration of COCs, constituents of concern, or the potential for impacting surrounding populations. So they're making very clear in their report that you cannot take the results of this and extrapolate it to what the health might be, what the impact in the surrounding area may be, based on how the wind would carry these particles. Perimeter air quality monitoring of the landfill and potential impacts to the surrounding areas from emissions is recommended to be performed as part of the fire suppression activities to be protective of human health and the environment. So what they're recommending is, as part of the program, that we do set up sampling for a distance, a perimeter around the dump, so that we understand what the health impacts are. And that's certainly one of the things that we're looking at as the ongoing of the project. This sampling and analysis event was performed to assess the worst case scenario, exposure scenario for workers that will be performing fire suppression and working within an active combustion and smoke impacted area. So they literally looked for what is the worst case scenario that the workers would be exposed to. These data should not be used for other purposes, in particular speculation as to what off-site concerns may or may not be occurring. So I think that the disclaimer within the report is very clear. It was really done for a very specific purpose, and I think that if it's true that a representative of the World Bank in turn turned this over to the media and allowed this to become distorted, I think that's a shame. Because again, when we had our conversations and we initially understood what was the scope of the project, we were very clearly instructed, you cannot use this for any other purpose than for the terms of reference for the fire suppression. You cannot extrapolate this to anything else beyond that. So it's a shame that a sort of a miscommunication, a misperception has been created in the community.
You can win with the Caribbean lottery. You can win, making a difference, changing lives. Take a chance, take a chance, and you can win with the Caribbean lottery. You can win, you can win.
Hey ma, how you doing? You busy?
I hear, just paying some bills, taking care of business, you know what it is?
I know, you're doing your online banking.
I don't have to stand in those long lines to pay bills. I can transfer when I want. I can check my account wherever. It's like the bank open 24/7. I even here checking the statement right now as we're talking. How's Miami?
Well, that's why I'm calling. I'm finishing up a few songs now, but I'm afraid that studio time might be more than I thought. And I was wondering if I could get some help with some funds, and I could pay you back as soon as I get back to St. Martin.
Let me check my account. How much you need?
I think 500 should be enough.
I can transfer it to you while online. Direct from me to you. No problem.
Great. Thank you so much, Ma. I'll get online with Viv now.
Alright, darling. You know who you're for?
I need to know who you're for.
Contact WIB today for your complete personal online banking experience. Available for all mobile devices. The Windward Islands Bank, now your online banking partner in progress.
Which is the Minister of Finance, his financial recovery plan for 2018-2022. In the letter to the Council of Ministers, we said that no dialogue was held with us, not even for the governing program, not even for the National Recovery and Resilience Plan, and not even for the Financial Recovery Plan. So we were told, go online, go read. Now we read and we translate for our people to know. And we're happy that you all is also here, because not even in the press we have, or we could read what was in the plans. Just let me give you these questions to think about. And if you can look back in your newspapers, in your radio interviews, or whatever, what is the recovery and the resilience plan for the poor and the needy households? Next week we will give you more details of that. What is the recovery and the resilience plan for the civil servants and their families? Because before this Minister of Finance, there was another Minister of Finance from the same political party, and that one said that cost-cutting measures for the civil servants had to come. And that was also announced in a meeting with the representatives of civil servants unions and teachers union by the Prime Minister. When you go in the recovery and resilience plan, where in the plan we see that they are going to make the civil servants and their families resilient. How are they going to make them resilient? Because cutting in their salaries, as was announced, will surely not make them more resilient, because they are already in poverty. They already form part of the 94% of the households that are still in poverty. And isn't it interesting? Yesterday, one of your members of the press asking one of the ministers if he has data on the poverty in St. Martin. And he answered that they still have to look for those data. In other words, what I want to say, that what we say is not the truth, it's not the reality. Well, we talk based on their own data. We have been presenting their own data. It was the Minister of VSR that answered. Minister of Theatre was absent because he had another assignment. But it was the statistical department of the Ministry of Theatre that has provided to Transparency International the data of 2010 of our census and housing, the population and the housing census from 2011, and was also the one that provided us with the household budget survey final report. Now I can imagine that individual ministers don't read all those reports, but we think that we have to be taken seriously when we quote from those reports. And it is not now that we are talking about the reality of most of the people in St. Martin, most of the households in St. Martin. I mean, it is serious. 9 out of 4 households, 49%, 9 of every 10, households in poverty, not having enough to survive. And who determined how much you should have to survive? That was the National Institute for Budget Information of the Dutch. So who am I, who are we to doubt that they don't have it right? By the way, ask any worker, can he make the ends meet? Is he having at least 4,000 guilders a month for his household? Is that the amount that they have? The statistics show that it is not the case. And it's even union leaders that tell me when we were discussing these issues, they're not going home with that amount for their family.
It's been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
I want to make sure that although the person being Mr. Corallo's name is mentioned in the case, I think him being the one to actually take it to the European court has helped others that have not been able to take their cases to the European court. It gives you a good indication, and I think a tremendous amount of, in this particular position, ammunition to say why an investigation into the whole operation of the OM is needed. And I join my colleagues in stating that that has to be something, because if you have a court verdict from the European court telling you that basically not slapping you on the hand, but giving you a verdict against the Netherlands, although all of this happened on St. Martin, it is St. Martin that gets the bad reputation. It is St. Martin's reputation that gets tarnished. And if, again, I join with my other colleagues, it is always the Dutch look at it of trying to get at St. Martin, of who all is no good on St. Martin, which companies are no good, which politicians are no good, which individuals are no good, and it always is the reputation of St. Martin. When I read the verdict or the synopsis of the whole case itself, here you have an individual that spends close to nearly a year in a prison cell without a conviction. Without a conviction. Deprived of all his civil liberties in St. Martin. Not in the Netherlands. In St. Martin. A gentleman that has lived, I would say, nearly his entire life, has provided jobs for the community, has paid taxes, has even gotten a Dutch passport, mind you, so that's not issued by the country of St. Martin or the government of St. Martin. It is issued by the Netherlands. This is what I find ironic. We didn't issue the passport, they issued the passport. And the situation, I mean, that you read where the public prosecutor says, no, the gentleman is not allowed to come out of his cell because he has the ability to rent a jet and whisk him away. What again I find interesting with that is when he was extradited to Italy, the situation is he walks off the plane and they tell him, well, go to your house. Go to your house. Walk the streets of Italy. Go to the restaurants of Italy. Sleep in your bed in your house of Italy. And in St. Martin, we hold him in a prison cell, keep him away from his loved ones, his businesses, destroy his reputation, and when he's extradited, the man walks free down the road.